Hey, we just took a really important vote on legislation that's going to continue funding some of the emergency flooding needs in the state of Louisiana dating back to the 2016 floods and the impacts to our state and the state of Texas from Hurricane Harvey and the upcoming approach of Hurricane Irma on the state of Louisiana. The bill also extends the flood insurance program, which is set to expire in September of this year.
It was a difficult vote, a distasteful one, the situation that we were put in, but we had to do it. In addition to those things that it does for our state, it also extends military funding through December, and we know we're in a very dangerous time right now. We're dealing with Iran and ISIS and all these trouble in the Middle East, but obviously, of course, North Korea, which is top of everyone's mind. If the military does not have the resources, this would all end in September. We had to get it through December. That was the only option they gave us today.
And it's certainly not difficult for either one of us to vote for emergency funding for FEMA, SBA, and other agencies that are providing some of the immediate response and recovery activities from the hurricanes and from the flood last year. But there's somewhat of a poison pill in here, and that the debt limit is also included in the legislation, and quite frankly, doesn't have a place.
No, it doesn't, and both of us are committed to not increasing the federal debt. It's a big problem. It's immoral what we're doing to our children and grandchildren in this country. But the option that they gave us today, negotiated in part by the president, who we support. He's trying to do the right thing. We believe that. But this put us in a real bind today. It was a difficult vote, not for our state, but for the long term of the country. But again, they really gave us no choice.
Mike and I feel very strongly that any increase in the debt limit, which effectively is raising the credit card limit, must be paired with fundamental spending reform. We're already seeing a debt that this nation holds of in excess of $20 trillion. It's literally mortgaging our children's future. And this vote and long-term concerns are absolutely priorities.
I know that both of us and other conservatives in the House are going to fight very hard going into the end of the fall and into the winter. For the December vote that will ultimately bring all this back up, we're going to force true structural change for the way that we do the budget and the way that we spend the precious taxpayer resources of this country. We have to do that. It's the right thing to do, and today was a difficult vote, but we did what was necessary.
And one of the things most people don't realize is somewhere around 70% of all of the federal budget is actually on effectively an automatic spend program. It is called entitlement or mandatory spending, and so that is not something that Congress comes back each year and actually votes to approve. A lot of our social welfare programs and other programs are automatically just the dollars go out the door, the checks go out the door, and those programs need fundamental reform. Both of us are committed to ensuring, as we move forward on spending priorities, on debt limit, that we include fundamental changes in how those programs work to ensure that we no longer mortgage our children's future.
And the last point we want to make is that hopefully this does do what has been said by the president and everyone over the last 24, 48 hours. This will clear the deck so we can get real tax reforms. We have to do that. That's what's going to allow the economic growth to help us climb out of the debt of this country. We can do it through cuts, but it has to be in a combination with true economic growth. And the best way to do that, the best way to spur on the economy and create new jobs and more opportunity in our state and the rest of the country is to have true, structural, meaningful tax reform, and I think we're going to get that done.
So, in closing, just voted for emergency spending for flooding, for hurricanes, making sure that our troops have the resources they need to protect American interests at home and overseas, and ensuring that the flood insurance program is there for those who need it in the future. But we're going to be working on those spending reforms long term.
Thanks.
Thank you.